All right. Hello and welcome to another episode of Enlightened Conversations. Really excited for you guys to meet today's guest. We found another Noelle, but a much prettier version, Noelle Wolf, who is out in Seattle, Washington. And she is a mindset and business coach, and really excited for you guys to meet her. Her energy is really cool. When you go to her Instagram page, you can see that she really wants to see people thrive in their lives and is always posting stuff to uplift people. And that's really what attracted me to her page, and wanted to have this conversation with her and introduce her to all you guys. So without further ado from me, I want to introduce you guys to Noelle. And Noelle, if you could just share with everybody who you are, what you do, why you do it, and all that good stuff so they can be more familiar with you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. As you guys just heard, I'm Noelle. I'm a mindset and business coach. So what I do is work with people to break through whatever barriers they have in their life, in their business, in their mindset. And I really try to deep dive with my clients. We, I think, live in a society that kind of conditions us to see limits everywhere. We see limits in ourselves. We see limits externally. And we say, well, this is what I can do, and that's it. Or this is who I am, and that's it. Or this is what I believe, and that's it, instead of expanding where we can go. So what I do is I work with individuals trying to break through whatever mindset blocks they have. And that could be, I don't feel good about myself. My self-esteem is low, and this is how I view myself. This is how I've been conditioned to view myself and how I think the world views me. And so we can break through that to greater self-esteem. I work with business owners who, the biggest problem that I encounter with my business clients is they say, well, I don't feel right charging more. I think I'm worth it, but I don't want to ask people to pay me what the value of my service actually is, because I feel bad asking people to pay me for my services. And that's a huge mental block I see. And we need to break through that so that people can thrive and help other people thrive, especially in service-based businesses where these business owners want to help people. I work with a lot of other coaches, and they want to help people, help them make their lives better, help them thrive. But they can't do that if they're stressed out and they're unable to thrive because they're constantly making financial sacrifices because they don't feel good enough to ask for what they're worth.
Really powerful. So you're working with individual clients and businesses, which,
yes.
It's the people business, and it's so important what you're doing. And I'm curious because for me, my life, it really shifted when I realized that I didn't have any limits on the things that I could go out there and create. And there wasn't like a specific, job that I needed to go into. And there was a rough patch for me because I was an athlete growing up, and then I hurt myself and couldn't play anymore. And I was like, oh no, I've always been this athlete, and now what do I do with my life? And so the discovery of that I could, be or do or have anything that I wanted, really important for me and life-changing. For you, was there describe kind of when that light bulb, kind of turned on for you, where you're like, wow, I can actually go out there and create the things that I want in my life. And then what was kind of it like when you decided, well, I want to share this with other people and, share the things that have been benefiting me? What was that like for you?
Well, for me, it kind of came in three parts. The first was similar to your story. I grew up being a very competitive golfer. I played from the time I was 3, started competing when I was about 8, and played all through high school until a back injury set me back, and I just couldn't play at the competitive level anymore. So I went into college. In high school, I was lining up scholarships, talking to coaches, and then I couldn't play anymore. So that was the first big thing where I was facing my own identity and saying, well, who am I? I'm supposed to be potentially a professional golfer one day. What do I do now? So I kind of got into the college thing, made a lot of new friends, was double majoring in accounting and finance, partying on the weekends, hanging out with people. And I realized in a really painful way that I just wasn't happy. 3 years into college, my junior year, I just had probably the lowest moment of my life. And I was like, God, I am not happy. What am I doing? So I was very lucky to have a really supportive family who supported my decision to actually move back home temporarily. I temporarily dropped out of school for about 6 months and ended up going back to a different school that was better suited for what I wanted to do. And I took that 6 months to really soul search. So I started reading self-improvement books. I took a full 6 months off from alcohol, TV, and processed foods, just because I wanted to fully reset. Taking time off TV, I think, is one of the most underutilized detox tools we have. It's so easy to get into this addictive pattern of TV watching, even if it's an hour a day, and just forcing yourself to say no to that stimulation is huge. But you also have to, at the same time, kind of detox from all screens. So say, okay, less time on my phone, more time being present. I started meditating, and that was the point where I said, okay, I don't have to be anything, because I had always felt a lot of pressure to succeed. It was mostly self-imposed and, get a good job with a lot of stability. And I just kind of said, screw it. My friends didn't go away when I stopped partying, which was an internalized fear I had had. My family didn't drop me because I didn't want to be an accountant. None of these fears that I had imposed on myself happened. And I think that was the first time that I realized, okay, I'm in control. So I went back to school, switched majors, graduated, got a job. And a couple of years later was the third, I guess you could say the third strike, where I woke up again. I was like, things are better and I feel like I have more control, but there's just got to be more. There's got to be more than working. I was doing sales. So working for someone, for their bottom line and not being passionate about what I'm doing every day. That was the missing piece for me. And I'd still been doing a lot of self-improvement work, looking at physical detoxes, emotional detoxes, really being present and mindful. And at that point, I had started talking to some of my friends who were in the wellness space. And one of them had just been certified as a life coach. And she was like, you should look into this. So I looked into it and got certified. And, it's starting a life coaching business is really hard because there's a lot of information out there and it's hard to know what direction to go in. So after some trial and error, I figured out that I want to talk to people about mindset. I dropped most of the wellness stuff that I had started doing. I don't really talk to my clients much about food. For example, there's people that are much better at doing that than I am. And so I wanted to focus on people building a life that they're passionate about, because that's what I've done.
Yeah.
So that's a little rambly and it's a long story, but it really did happen in 3 parts to get me to where I just kind of said, pardon the language, but fuck it. And I'm going to do what I want to do and live how I want to live. And I'm not really afraid of what other people think. And it's awesome.
I love what you said. So many good things right there. And I've pointed this out in a few episodes, just the curiosity of us as human beings when we want more, like when we're longing for more, and we're not stuck in the, because we've all been here where, it could be, like a depressing time or a sad time or like a lost time where it's like, what am I going to do? And, sometimes we could stay there for a long period of time. Sometimes people are, they don't know that they can come out of it. And I like what you said as far as just being curious about, that 6 month detail. I mean, my goodness, how powerful. Sometimes people will add, take 6 months off TV or do 6 months, changing their diet, no processed foods, or do 6 months. Like you combine all sorts of things and just had like that 6 months has been so powerful. I've done that.
It was amazing
with the TV thing. And as soon as you said that, I was like, wow, during that time period, I replaced all of those TV hours with just books, just reading powerful stuff or YouTube videos. It was like personal development, just, crazy. Because I didn't have anything else to entertain
exactly.
So yeah, I think I took the cable boxes out and like took them back to like I had no option. This is before Netflix and all this stuff that you can distract. Also a good point pointing out the other screens, because now we have I mean, you could watch anything from anything. The watch if you need
Well,
to. You know?
yeah. I've talked to people who are like, oh yeah, I'm not doing TV. I'm like, okay, cool. How, what are you doing? Something like, well, I spend a lot of time on social media, looking at my phone. And I was like, well, that's a good first step. But if you're really going to detox, you got to cut out the screens.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing wrong with checking your Facebook and your Instagram a couple times a day. Like it's something that most people do. But when you're spending an hour just sitting there, it's
for sure.
wasted time.
Yeah. Okay. So now I have a two-part question.
Mm-hmm.
And you could answer either side first. I'm always curious because whenever we start making changes in our lives and start applying things that we become aware of, and we start to see really cool shifts and things happening, cool results, lots of synchronicity stuff that we're like, whoa, I didn't expect that to happen, and just real cool stuff starts to happen. So I would love to hear either a personal story or like client stories. I've been asking a lot of people because I love synchronicities, because a lot of times when people out there hearing information, like we share for the first time, there could be that little voice, that skepticism. And I've noticed the stories often allow people to be a little bit more open. So I've been trying to get people to share those. Yeah. But was there also, what made you say, was it the friend that just said, this is something that would be possibly good for you when it comes to life coaching? Was that kind of what made you want to start actually coaching people? Or was it the results that you were seeing where you're like, I just want to share this with even more people?
Well, quick aside, just because you're talking about synchronicity, it made me think. I have one client who every time I go for a run, I get a call or a text from him. And it's this funny synchronicity thing. It's every single time, that's when he reaches out. And so it made me think of that because it's hilarious. So for me, I think what did it for me is I saw the results that I had seen in myself. And the biggest motivator for me was I want to make it easier for other people to get to where I'm at.
Nice.
Because it's hard when you're doing it on your own. And it's so much easier when you're working with a coach who can guide you and tell you this is where you need to be. And so that's really what did it for me, is it was kind of this aha moment when my friend was like, you should be a coach. And I started thinking about it and looking at it, and I said, wow, the point of a coach is to make it easier. And I had at that point accumulated about 6 years of self-study on personal development. And so I really wanted to give that back to other people and make it easier for them to get to the point where they felt as good about life as I did.
I love it. I love it. And for those of you guys listening out there, if you're inspired, to reach out to Noelle or anything that you're inspired to do when it comes to, coaching or a book or a video, my advice to everyone is that inspiration is always a really good next step on our journey. And, not try to figure out, well, is this the exact right thing that I should do to get me to everything that I want to accomplish in my life? Like, that's not necessary to think about all of those steps that you need to. The great step right now is the one that you're inspired to do right now. Even if it's just going to Noelle's Instagram page and adding her, you could get so much value just from reading her. This is the example of Noelle when it is good to be on social media for your
absolutely. Yes.
When you make sure you find some pages like Noelle's where there's like positive quotes and things that you can just read. And like, there's times where, and I've been trying to give credit all the time because I wasn't good at that initially on Instagram, but I'll be
None
on
of us were.
pages, I'll just like screenshot like, oh, I love that. And first it's for me, but then eventually I'm scrolling through my phone and be like, oh, I want to post that. Like, I'm just inspired to post it. So definitely.
I do the exact same thing with the screenshots.
Yeah, the screenshot is my favorite. Just there's people that are really good at doing the repost, which I still need to get the app. I don't exactly know how to do that, where it says literally on the post, repost, and it's like the exact post, but I don't know. I'm still learning social media. I know how to do all the things that I know how to do, and the rest of the things I'll learn when I'm ready for them.
There you
go. Okay, so at the time of this recording, we're here at the beginning of 2019. What are you excited about this year, or have you created, or that you are creating for people to be able to connect with you? What are you excited about this year that people can connect with you on?
Oh gosh, so much. So a couple big things that I'm excited about this year. I did a whole rebrand And I've got my new website launching in a couple weeks, which I think will make it a lot easier for people to get in touch with me. And I'm actually going to have a blog up there so that people can get more free information on how to break through barriers. And I'm going to have some business focused blogging too about, time management, for example, is a big thing that I think people struggle with. So that's happening. And then I'm also actually going to expand my business a little bit. I'm getting married this summer.
Nice.
And one thing that I've learned is that wedding planning is a mindfulness trap. It is so hard to stay mindful while you're wedding planning. There's so much external pressure and internalized pressure that, fiancés, so people to be wed have. And it's so important to ask yourself every step of the way, why am I making this decision? Because I've found myself saying like, oh, we'll do it like that. And I think about it, I'm like, wait, that's not how I want to do it. So, you find yourself making decisions because it's what everyone's doing, or just because it's what no one's doing, or because it's what's expected. And so I'm actually going to start offering pre-wedding mindfulness coaching. And it'll be just a small package so that people can buy, a 6-month small coaching package to help people through that process. Because I think that there's a really big gap there, in that it's a huge stressor. And I think if people can remain mindful, it will lower the stress and people will end up being happier with the result, and also more focused on their relationship through the planning process instead of focused on the materialism that is the wedding industrial complex, because it's real big.
I want to piggyback on something, and you share more stuff that you want to share. What you just said is a really good example of, and it doesn't have to be to do with weddings. It could be any area of our life. But whenever we start focusing on some future result that we want so much, where we forget to enjoy the moments and the steps, of right now, which are the only moments that are really guaranteed to us. Of course, you're excited about this, this beautiful wedding that you're going to have, but it's so cool what you're doing for people to be able to have that mindfulness. Because if your wedding is, say, a year from now, out there listening, or any big event, and you spend the next year stressed, you got a really rough year,
Absolutely.
So, I mean, for me these days, it's like, I'm so hyper focused on the moment, knowing that it's the only one that I'm truly promised, and expecting to live a long, fulfilled life. However, not taking it for granted to where I give away whole, even days, but definitely not months, years, to future things that when I get there, it'll still be now. And I want to enjoy all the moments leading up until that. So you inspired me to say wedding is such a good one, because I've heard, they even termed a term, bridezilla, which it doesn't sound like a fun energy necessarily to be in.
No, it sounds terrible. I've had friends who, told me, oh, I can't come to the bachelorette party. I can't. And they're like, I'm so sorry. And they expect, because of experiences they've had in the past, anger as a response. And I just can't imagine getting mad at someone for, telling me that they can't make it. Like, that's great. Thank you for letting me know. But there's so many people who, I think talking about mindset and weddings, there is this mindset that I think is really toxic. That is, weddings are a good silo for it, but it really pervades our culture. So in weddings, it's my day. It's all about me. Everyone has to do what I want. It's, and there's no room for error. And I think that is the absolute wrong way to look at it. My mindset through the whole thing has been, as long as I'm married to Landon, my fiance, at the end of the day, everything went perfectly. That's all I care about. And then, we're inviting people to celebrate with us. And that's wonderful. And nothing has to be perfect. And if people can't come, that's okay. And it should be this happy, exciting event. And I see that a lot. I see that same mindset a lot, actually, unfortunately, in the coaching industry. when people start talking about things like self-care.
Hmm.
I think that self-care is a wonderful concept, but I also have seen it be very convoluted into a form of selfishness. And that's one thing I always work on with my clients, because a lot of them come to me and they say, well, I've seen people who practice self-care and they're kind of jerks about it. One example I've heard and seen is someone, saying, oh yeah, I'd love to come to lunch with you guys, but we have to go here because this is what I need. And I'm practicing self-care, so we can't, and it's like, that's not self-care. Self-care is saying, I'd love to come with you guys, but I can't because, this is what I want to do today. And I don't want to alter your time. And yeah, sorry, that was a little bit of an aside,
no,
but
so
the
perfect.
self-care thing and how it's become this, instead of focus on this internal practice,
Yes,
on making us more whole, it's become very external. And I think that we need to take a step back and say, what is self-care about? How are we communicating that to people? And how can we make it a more holistic practice that doesn't turn us into these selfish monsters, for lack of a better term.
you've inspired me to say something here that I'm really excited to share with the audience. So when it comes to, just life period, the only thing that we all have to complete control over is the energy that we present to the world in this moment. Like that's it. So when it comes to self-care, it's great for you to, have an intention of, I want my energy to be loving or happy or joyful or passionate or whatever is important to you. I'm sure it's going to be, your intention is not to be frustrated or worried or angry. We're all going to be there at some point. We're human. So we're going to spend time everywhere. But if your intention is to have your energy in a certain place and that's how you enjoy living your life, then when you choose to go do things like going to lunch with friends, then you're just bringing that best version of you that you can bring in that moment, with that intention that you set for yourself. And so, there's ways for us to have our energy, allow our energy to rise and, and we all have those different things that we can think about, that we can do. Meditation, which I highly recommend, for everybody that I suggest. And it's cool that I think almost every guest that's come on, without me speaking about it at all beforehand, mentioned out of their mouths having some sort of meditation practice. And that is, an amazing example of self-care, especially, in my opinion, the earlier in the day that you can do it, the better, because, you can set your energy, right off the bat. When I wake up, my mind, I've trained it, and this is all practice, to immediately think of things that I'm appreciative for. At least a few things. I'm appreciative that I woke up. I'm grateful that I have food to eat, a place to sleep. And then my energy is already starting off good. Then I drink a glass of water, and then I do my meditation. And now my energy is like, now no matter what I choose to do, I'm bringing that energy with me. And so what you're describing is so good, because if we're relying on external things to make ourselves, feel good. And so I have to do this or else I'm not going to feel good, or I have to do this or else I'm not going to feel good. Not really, you're going to have a roller coaster life. And I've been there. I mean, always wanting, different.
Me too.
But you want to have more control over the only thing that you have control over. I would definitely, like Noelle said, you're going to want to go within. And I mean, then you can, no matter what I'm doing now, like I know my favorite things to do, on the planet, like my favorite activities and, my favorite people to spend time with. We all know, what these are for us. But just because I'm not maybe with my absolute favorite people or doing my absolute favorite thing, doesn't mean that I can't still bring joyful, grateful, happy energy to, maybe I'm going to a knitting class and I don't know how to knit. Maybe I'm just like, it's just fun for me to see if I can get the needle to the thread, and I do it and I'm like applauding myself and everybody's, but I love that you mentioned that, because it can be, if it's always, external, then it probably will be kind of a selfish thing, because you're going to have to be doing that all day, every day, trying to find the next thing, and just a rough way to have been there.
Well, I think if you're going to go do something that you can't bring joyful energy to, just say no.
Yes.
That's okay.
Absolutely.
And that is self-care to me. 100%. Saying no is self-care, but going and bringing bad energy is the opposite. And there is no true friend or loving family member who will ever fault you for saying no to something that is going to, for whatever reason, you know, we all have things that people don't get that we just don't like doing. And that's okay. And you don't have to go through life doing everything and being joyful about it. You know, that's okay.
Yeah.
It's not that you have to force this joyful energy on everything you do. You can say no and save your time and your good energy for things that make you happy. And some people thrive off of trying new things. You know, I think that's something that we can all do a little more of. Most of us can do a little more of. I know I can, is trying new things and bringing the best attitude possible and bringing your joyful energy to those new things. And then if you do it and you're like, it's not my jam, that's cool. And put that amazing energy somewhere else. But don't walk through life, you know, faking good energy just because you think that's what you have to do.
Can't fake it. You can't fake it.
Exactly.
We can all feel it. And yes, you're right.
Noelle, we're like, oh, I'm so happy right now.
And even if you say no, like Noelle said, the people that you're saying no to, maybe they might not understand in the moment, but you know that it was definitely for their benefit. If you're not feeling your best, if there's just been a rough day and, you know, you just need to go to bed early and, you know, relax, then you're doing them a huge favor by saying no. And these days you know, it sounds like I'm similar to you, Noelle. Like I never feel obligated that I need to go do anything. Like I'm always going to ask myself, you know, can I bring, you know, the energy that I like to bring to whatever it is? And if I choose to go do it, then I'm bringing the energy that I want to bring.
Yeah.
I'm choosing it. No one like forced me to go do anything.
Exactly.
I love that.
Yeah. We're all totally free all the time, especially when we start being comfortable saying no. Absolutely. We're free. You don't have to do anything that you don't want to do. Any pressure that you feel to do something that you don't want to do is completely made up. You know, it's one of my favorite quotes is fear is a liar. Pressure is also a liar. You don't have to do anything. And I think that once we embrace that freedom, it's so much easier to cultivate that joyful, loving energy. Because even if you are doing something that maybe isn't your favorite activity, it's your choice to be there because you're free. And that alone, for me at least, is a reason to be happy and throw love out to the universe. You know, like my fiance, his family are big into riding motorcycles. It's not my favorite thing to do, but when I go, it's my choice. And also, if you've never meditated on the back of a motorcycle, I highly recommend it. There's something about it where you're sitting there and there's just nature all around you.
Eyes closed?
I do eyes closed. Yeah.
Wow.
And it's just, it is, I will say, back of the motorcycle, as much as it's still not my favorite activity, it is for me the place where I can get into deep meditation the fastest.
Wow. That is cool. That's like a whole sensory, like the wind and the motion, like that's interesting. I'll have to.
Well, you can't not be in the moment when you're on a motorcycle because you have to be physically and mentally very present.
Yeah.
You know, we can't fall off.
Definitely released and the fear, because to get into a deep meditation, you're not worried like, oh crap, am I falling? Like, you know, to where you're like eyes are closed and then your eyes are open all of a sudden. Like that's interesting. That's really interesting. I've never been on the back of a motorcycle, but if I ever am, then I'm not going to meditate the first time, but maybe the second time. I'll try.
That's probably good.
That's so cool. Okay, so I'm happy that this conversation went to these topics because that was so valuable. If you spaced on any of that, like if you went and walked your dog and put your headphones down, go rewind to what Noelle just said at the beginning of this last section. Really good stuff. And so part of that might have been the question that I'm going to ask you now, and maybe you have more to ask, but this has been what I've been asking everybody that's come on, and really the reason why I wanted to start sharing on social media. A few years ago, I asked myself, of all the things that I've become aware of, have I really shared, to where no matter how long I'm here, if someone discovered the things that I've become aware of, 10, 20, 50 years later, have I at least poured it out? And, we're always evolving, we're always becoming aware of more. So this would be like a lifetime, pouring out for me. But what is something that, in addition, you've already shared so many cool things that you would love for humanity to know that you feel would, no matter when they hear this, would make a significant impact in their lives?
I think the one the one most important thing to me is to always keep in mind our oneness. People forget that we're connected and we're in it together. And especially when we can access those higher planes of consciousness through meditation or mindfulness, we are so interconnected. There's a reason that when you're meditating, if you're meditating with a group of people, it's often easier to get through the levels and get to the point where you're just all mind. It's because you're feeding off of each other's energy. And we think of energy as this thing that we exchange, but it's yours and mine instead of ours. And energy is ours, life is ours. And we need, I think, as humanity, to remember that we are one. We are individuals, but we are also one. Another one of my favorite quotes that sums that up is, you're not just a drop in the ocean, you are also the entire ocean in a single drop.
Love that.
And that is something that we need to keep in mind. I am me, but everything is me, and I am everything, because that makes it easier to treat each other kindly, to think about other people, to put out love and joy and happiness into the world. Because when you stop thinking of yourself as alone or singular, you realize that you have to put those out there. Because even sitting in my house right now talking to you, my vibes are extending outside of the walls of this house and having an effect. And so I think that's my one big thing is, you're not alone. We are fully connected at all times.
That is so good, Noelle. That is, and I don't remember exactly when the first time I heard that we were connected and we were one. We were talking about a decade plus ago. But as I become more aware and just continue to evolve as a person, that which you just described has really meant more and more and more and more to me, to the point where now so much I just find myself inspired to, share with whoever's listening, whether it be through writing or speaking. I'm so happy to be on this planet with the rest of the 7.6 billion of you guys out there, because every single one of us, brings something, to this world, and we all matter. And whether it be a conversation that you have today because you've chosen to, present to the world with a really amazing energy today, and you're feeling good, and, you exchange a smile with someone, or just, share something encouraging, and that person says, you know what, I am excited to go out and create this that I've been wanting to create. And then the whole world shifts. And I mean, we've all been, bouncing things off each other and experiencing life since the beginning of time. And it was just constant expansion. And that's how it'll always be. And so, we all play a part, and we all have unique life experiences. No two of us have lived the exact same life. And so, even if you're creating, the same thing, so to speak, as your neighbor, you're going to create it completely different, because you guys have lived two completely different lives, but you still have that same power, that same energy flowing to and through you, that energy, which is all of us, like Noelle's saying. I mean, we're all, it is who we are. And so it's so powerful what she just said. And, really, feel from that, whatever you can feel from that today, and then re-listen to this podcast a month from now, and you'll probably feel it even differently. And, and that'll be forever. As we really, realize and become aware of, how one and connected we really are. That's so beautiful what you just said. I love that. It's a really good place to keep this enlightened conversation. But I want to leave the floor open for you if you have anything else that you want to add. That is amazing stuff.
Just in terms of adding on to that, manifestation and synchronicity are really big right now, and they should be, but you have to master oneness before you can really tap into those things, because manifestation especially is all about oneness and interconnectivity. You can't manifest anything if you are living and moving through the world thinking that you are in your own little box, because the universe can't break through that box. The universe wants to help you, and it wants to give you all of its gifts, but until you're open to being connected with everything else, it can't break through, because you're creating your own barrier.
That's so powerful. Okay, we're going to talk for like another 2 hours now.
Okay.
Because that is what you just described is probably, going from, I'll just use my life as an example, going from playing always a team sport, and you played an individual sport, which is interesting in golf, but going from a team sport to where when all of a sudden that was taken away from me, that was like my whole identity of, that was where a lot of my relationships as a kid, because it's so much time playing. I played baseball, so it was a year round sport. And so, once I was out into the adult world and, I'm doing different sales jobs, or it was just all about me and commission. And, my life became, to some of the close friendships that I had, that I nurtured in college and high school, but really just about, trying to find this success. And it was like my own, like, separate path, it felt like, and it wasn't, I was definitely not open to all the channels of abundance and, oneness, like we're talking about here. Even in some of the relationships that I had, it was like me and that person, and then, the rest of the world didn't exist, and then my job and like work. Like, I mean, it just was such a small life that I was living. And now, really feeling that connectedness and that oneness, and just excited to see who the universe attracts into my path, even to do podcasts like these. Like, the people that I've had on the show have been awesome. Then I didn't even know any of you guys existed like a month ago or 2 months ago. And it's just really cool to see.
So cool.
Yeah. It's just, that's probably one of my absolute favorite parts of life, is that there are 7.6 billion of us, and we're all living life right now. And we don't know that 99.9% of them even exist. Like, we've never met them, never seen them, just seen them on social media. But then all of a sudden someone could be right in front of you, or, you experiencing a conversation or whatever it is. And it could just open up like so many things to you, or, a new relationship or whatever it is. Just be open to that, because the universe, if we allow the universe to work, and it's so awesome what you just said. So I'm seeing that so much more and more and more. And it's probably become my favorite part of life, being aware of that. We're not alone ever. Like, even if you're, right now listening to this alone, or, you've been used to, that's okay. Like, our alone time is cool too. Like, I enjoy my alone time. It's just when you decide to go out into the world or open yourself up to, experiencing life, the universe will bring cool people, situations, synchronicities, stuff that you can never.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So awesome. I'm not cutting any time off from you. You say some more cool things so we can.
Gosh, no. Say some more cool things.
You shared so much amazing energy in this conversation. I really appreciate you coming on. You guys, bare minimum, make sure that you connect with Noelle on social media and follow her journey, because, what I know, for as fact, once someone becomes aware of the things that she's sharing in this episode, she can decide, and she knows this, to create anything that she chooses, in whatever area of life that she chooses to create it in. That's why when she mentioned like creating the things for like the weddings, I'm like, ooh, that'll be good, because she just knows that she can flow the energy that she wants to flow to it, the passion that she wants to flow to it, and make the impact that she wants to make with it. And the people that are ready to receive that information will be attracted to the information, and it'll spread to the people that are ready to receive it. And that's how it is for all of us. So whenever you're out there listening or excited to create, the people that are, excited to receive and experience that, your creation, they're already out there ready to receive it and experience it. You just have to throw your energy at it and allow it to come into existence. So love that. So cool. Well, I appreciate you for coming on and sharing your time with us, and really excited to see what you choose to create here in 2019 and beyond. And anything else that on my time right now, I'm looking at the clock, is 222, which I love. We're in different times, but that made me happy. I see recurring numbers all that. I messaged you earlier today and it was 11:11.
That was 11. So.
Perfect. Love it. But anything else at all that you want to add before I close up this beautiful conversation?
Well, just want to say thank you for reaching out and having me on. I'm definitely in good company with the rest of the people you've had on your podcast. It's been really fun watching everyone and listening to the enlightened conversations. And thank you for doing what you do and getting this information from all of your guests out to even more people. Because I think the more people that hear it, and the more people that can start on or continue their journey of, self-enlightenment and discovery, is just going to make it better for all of us, because we're interconnected.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I really appreciate you saying that. And this conversation would never be what it is. First of all, it wouldn't be a conversation without you because it would just be me talking. So I guess it'd be a conversation with the audience. But I just
Yes.
appreciate knowing that, when Noelle brought her unique, life experiences and desires and energy that she brought to this conversation, with the intention is obvious that she wanted to empower the audience, whoever was listening, to be able to share some things that have benefited her and the people that she's working with. And I brought my energy with the same intention, and we were able to connect, which I knew that we would. And it was allowed to go to a place that we really wouldn't have gone energy if it was just us individually talking, to the audience.
Absolutely.
I love that about life. And that's why I'm going to record more and more and more of these fun
Yes.
conversations. These are just things that I would have loved to have a conversation with you anyways, but the fact that we hit record and now more people can hear it and be impacted by it makes it even more fun for me. So really appreciate
Absolutely.
you. And yeah, everybody out there, if you guys have people pop in your mind while listening to this, share it with them. That was not a coincidence. Let them hear what they're ready to hear from this conversation, and that energy will flow back to you multiplied. It's always cool to be able to empower other human beings. And thank you guys for continuing to rate and review this, making it easier for people to find these episodes. And just excited. We're just really just getting going, and I'm going to continue to share more cool people like Noelle with all of you guys, and just have more fun seeing what all of you guys out there are excited to create. And I just want to experience whatever those things are with you as long as I'm here. So you guys have an amazing, amazing day, and we'll talk to you soon on another episode of Enlightened Conversations. Bye, guys. Cool. So much fun, Noelle. You're awesome.
Yeah, that was great. Oh, you're awesome. This was fun.